Hello and welcome to the Wedding Guide podcast. I'm your host, Pete the Celebrant, and we are proudly sponsored by Easy Weddings. Easy Weddings helps thousands of couples nail their big day every year. With their award-winning directory and mobile apps, you can find and book top-rated wedding suppliers. Stay on track with their planning tools, or for a more hands-off approach, work with Wedding Planner to save you time and money. And it's free. Jump onto easyweddings.com.au to start your stress-free journey up the aisle today. In this episode of the podcast, we meet Aneta Pazeski, who helps brides find the perfect bridesmaids dresses in the simplest way possible with her business, Bridesmaids Dressing Room. We discuss the process she takes brides and their wedding party through, regardless of whether they live close to one another or live in separate cities around the world. Allow me to introduce you to the very talented Aneta Pazeski. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone, on the next episode. And today we have Aneta from Bridesmaids Dressing Room. Aneta, how are you today?
Good, thanks, Pete. A pleasure to be here today in the thick of COVID in Melbourne.
Yes, it is. But thank you so much for joining us. Aneta, we caught up probably just over a month ago now, and it was great to hear about your business and how it helps brides and all that. But why don't you give us a bit of an idea, tell us about yourself and tell us about your background.
Yeah, awesome. So my background actually started in the world of corporate, believe it or not. I'm actually a fully trained accountant. I've got a background in corporate and law, corporate finance and law, I should say. So I did a commerce law degree in Canberra. I'm originally a Canberra chick. And then I went on to do my CPA qualifications. And then moving on from that, went to do my master's in business as well. So I've got lots of corporate experience. So I was very much in the thick of the corporate world. But I always had a passion and a flair for fashion and design. So believe it or not, my first ever client was the marketing manager in one of my corporate jobs. And I made her bridesmaids dresses from scratch in 2001. So I had to think back how many years ago. That was like 19 years ago. It sounds so long ago. So I was kind of moonlighting. I was working my corporate gig and I was designing and sewing as a hobby in the background. So I was always very passionate about fashion and design since I was a little girl.
Fantastic. So you created that first dress for a work colleague. You made it yourself from scratch.
Absolutely. So since I was a little girl, my dream was to become a fashion designer. But my well-meaning European parents said you have to become a doctor, lawyer, or an accountant. And I was like, don't like the idea of being a doctor, but I'll try out law and accounting. So I did a commerce law with a master's in tax law, of all things. So it was kind of like keep the parents happy and I'll just do my thing as a side gig. So I've been sewing since I was a little girl. So my first ever business adventure really started, I call it my aha moment, when I got married and we went to Phuket, Thailand for our first year wedding anniversary, and call it wrong place, wrong time, or right place, wrong time. We got caught up in the tsunami, the big Boxing Day tsunami of 2004. And that was a massive wake-up call for me in terms of not living my true purpose and not chasing my dreams. So pretty much after that experience, I registered my fashion business and I started designing and making bridal wear, evening wear, and race wear. And that's how the business venture started.
That is fantastic. That's an incredible story in itself. And I think it's probably almost another episode just to go into such an aha moment. But let's talk about the business that has resulted from that. And so that's how Bridesmaids Dressing Room began. Take us on a little bit of a journey. Why do brides use Bridesmaids Dressing Room?
Sure. So essentially what happened is that as I found myself designing wedding dresses and evening wear and bridesmaids, I found there was a huge market for made to measure bridesmaids dresses to the point where I couldn't keep up. So I introduced a small range of dresses as made to order from the States, because they were at that time the only company where I could get them from. And that took off. And I was like, wow, there's clearly a need for made to order bridesmaids dresses at an affordable price. So off the back of that, I completely rebranded and launched Bridesmaids Dressing Room in 2012. And what it does, it enables brides to be able to come in with their bridal party and choose from a selection of dresses in a selection of sizes. So we offer from sizes 2 right to size 30, so a massive spectrum of sizes. And if a bridal party has a mix of girls with different body shapes, sizes and heights, the bride can select her favourite colour, and the girls get to choose their favourite style that suits their individual body shapes. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the bride. She's happy because she gets to select the colour and the fabric, and it's a win for the bridesmaids because they feel comfortable and confident in their dresses as well.
Fantastic. And I will admit that you're talking to someone who's never gone to pursue fine dresses, not for myself. So take us through, brides find you, and is it always, people always come to the shop? Do people do it online? And maybe then we'll talk about how COVID have changed things. But let's just first talk about, with COVID not in mind, how does this work?
Okay. So essentially, people find us through all sorts of social media or advertising or word of mouth. And then once they connect with us, they've got a couple of options. If they're based in Melbourne, then we encourage them to book an appointment online. And depending on the number of bridesmaids they have, will determine the length of the consultation period. So they essentially come into the showroom. We show them the range of dresses that they've got to choose from. We outline the pros and cons of each style and which styles best will suit each of the girls. And essentially it's an in-store experience. So what we tried to do was, we found that brides have a really beautiful experience when they're shopping for their bridesmaids, for their bridal gowns, but that same experience wasn't replicated out in the marketplace when it came to bridesmaids. They were kind of like the ugly sisters on the side. Don't worry about what their experience is like. So our motto has always been that we're in the business of celebrating love, and we see so much love between the girls, like the friendships and the camaraderie and the joy of just years of friendships, or even sisters and cousins and things like that. So it's about celebrating the love between the girls as well, and giving them a really good experience when it comes to bridesmaids dress shopping. So that's kind of the in-store experience. We have also had situations where, a classic example is, I had a bride who lived here in Melbourne, but she had spent some time working in LA. So 4 of her bridesmaids were actually from LA. So what we did was we organised a Skype call, much like we're using Zoom a lot more these days than Skype. So we did a Skype call with the girls in LA, and we got them to organise to have measuring tapes, and we guided them through how to self-measure with my guidance to get the right sizes for the dresses. So the dresses arrived into us in Australia. The girls arrived 1 week before the wedding, and only 2 out of the 4 needed some minor alterations to the dresses, just only days out from the actual wedding itself. So we've been able to use technology to be able to then help our brides as well.
And I think it's worth clarifying, and I do feel like it's in the name, Bridesmaids Dressing Room, but you don't sell dresses for brides. You don't sell wedding dresses, just to clarify.
That's right. Yes, we only sell, our core business is bridesmaid dresses, and we also have a selection of mother of the bride gowns as well. And again, that kind of happened by osmosis. When the brides would come in with their bridal parties, they would bring along the mum and the mother-in-law, or possibly an auntie, and they would be like looking through the racks and say, oh, is there a dress for me? So then in my buying trips, it kind of alerted me to perhaps bring in some styles that, you know, a sexy young mum would like to wear as well. And gone are the days of, you know, the jacket, the cami and the little skirt with a little bit of lace underneath. Those days are definitely gone. because we get a lot of young mums that still want to look really hot at, their daughter or their son's wedding. So yeah, we cater to that as well. So it's kind of like a secondary part of our business, but the core thing is definitely bridesmaids dresses.
Fantastic. I love the heart and the idea behind your business. It's about celebrating, as you said, that love between the brides and the bridesmaids, all their girlfriends, and having them there and having the same incredible experience as brides get to do when they go for all their wedding dresses. So I think that's incredible. And obviously now you also cater to the mums and the aunties and everyone who comes along for that big family experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We find it is very much an emotional purchase. They need to fall in love with the dresses and also feel really confident about how they feel in the dress. And that's one thing we really stress. And I'm brutally honest. I think that's been the key formula to success. I actually want the girls to look their best because ultimately they are a walking representation of our brand. We want people to say, wow, where did you get the bridesmaids dresses from? They look amazing.
Definitely. Now, how does this work during COVID?
Yep. So during COVID, we basically said, how have we made this work before where we haven't had clients in the store? So my example earlier about the girls in LA was like, hey, I've done this before. I just have to put this formula on steroids. So that's essentially what I did. So I took that method and basically said to brides, let's organize a Zoom call. So now we have Zoom calls. I did one the other day where we've got like 5 people on the screen, including me. And then I'm here in the showroom actually showing them dresses. And in some cases, I'll pop the dress on to model the features and the design of the dress. And then if the bride chooses a selection of dresses, what we've been able to do is we introduced a borrow a dress program. So they can actually we can send the dresses out to the bride. They get to physically see and touch the dresses. And before the 5K rule was introduced, what they were doing was actually dropping off the dresses to each of the girls' houses respectively. And the girls got to try them at home and pick their favorite style. And then they would send the dresses back. They get their bond money back for borrowing the dresses, and we would then help them with the measurements and get the order sorted through to the supplier. So we definitely made it work. It was just a few extra logistical steps in the process to make it work during COVID.
Yeah, completely understand that. Now, it sounds like, and maybe you can tell us if this is the case, that you have your showroom in Melbourne. So I imagine possibly the majority of your business is Melbourne, but it sounds like you have the capacity to help brides and their bridesmaids across Australia, if not internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually dressed bridesmaids throughout the whole world. I wish I had, I should get a list actually together. I know I've done calls to Dubai, Canada, Singapore, UK, the States. There's so many parts of the world where I've actually done virtual consultations with either brides or bridesmaids. We have a lot of people who are, for example, in the airline industry and that travel between different countries. And like one of my bridesmaids was living in Dubai. And so we did the Zoom call or like the Skype call with her to take her measurements. Obviously, we can't send the dresses like we can in the luxury of Australia, but to give them that measurement experience and the comfort that they're not going to get it wrong. People don't want to jeopardize getting their sizing wrong because it's for a wedding. If it's for like a Saturday night out, you get the sizing wrong, you send it back, you get the new one. But with our dresses, because they're made to order, there isn't that option of, oh, just send it back and we'll get another one, because it's very specifically made for that event. So definitely potential to run this as a global business. And that is definitely on my radar to grow and scale Bridesmaids Dressing Room. And COVID's actually opened up our eyes to the possibility that this already is a global business. It's just about how we deliver our services.
Fantastic. So in your experience, and it sounds like you've had, like the business has been just under 20 years?
So, well, 20 years since I started sewing,
Since you
but as
started,
Bridesmaids Dressing Room, it's 8 years. So we
8 years.
launched the brand Bridesmaids Dressing Room in 2012.
So in your 8 years of helping brides for that long, what do you wish that brides and perhaps also the bridesmaids knew during this whole planning process?
Sure. So one of the biggest things that I find is that brides, and sometimes even the bridesmaids, work themselves up before they even start this process, thinking that this is going to be really, really hard. And I want to dispel that myth. And our tagline is actually cut out the stress and find the perfect dress. Because after they've gone through the journey with us, they actually walk out of here and go, oh my God, that was so much easier than I thought. You made that so simple and so easy. In my head, I thought this was going to be one of the hardest things to nail. Because the thought of, for example, I just got off a call earlier, a bride has one tall bridesmaid, one shorter bridesmaid, and another bridesmaid that is more curvy. She said, I don't even know where to start. So I think they build it up to be a really challenging exercise. But when they come in here and they've got a professional consultant that will give them the right styling advice and guide them as to what shapes will suit individuals and what will make them look their best, then it kind of takes that pressure off. So one thing that I'd like to say to brides is that it doesn't have to be as hard as you might make out that it's going to be. And if you trust in a professional, then it makes that whole process easier. And as part of that is allow time, because our dresses normally take up to 3 to 4 months to get made because of the bespoke nature of it. So they're not made to measure, not to your specific sizes, but they're made to order in the closest size to your body. So allow enough time, and the world has shown us that crazy things can happen. And if you don't have that buffer time between the time that the dresses arrive to the actual time of your wedding, you're going to need some alterations, say, for the length of the dresses based on the heel height that the girls are going to wear. And not everybody's torso is the same length either. So some people need some adjustments in the shoulders. So allow yourself time and don't make the process stressful, and trust in a specialist in what you're looking for.
Fantastic. What is your best advice for brides and their bridesmaids?
Sure. So I think through all my years of being in weddings, I see so much hype and making their wedding Instagram, worthy, and having all these amazing sort of decor and setups, that sometimes I feel as though brides are losing the essence of why they're getting married and who they're getting married to, and the fact that we're actually celebrating love. And my advice is focus on the things that are going to bring you joy in the celebration of your wedding, and also focus on capturing those memories. I find that a lot of people get hung up about the little details, and then when it comes to the actual wedding album, most of those little details aren't even captured in the wedding album. The main things that get captured in the wedding album is the bride, the groom, the bridal party, and the family, and what happens at the reception is only a small part of the wedding album. So it's focus on the overall look and feel that you're trying to create for your wedding. And one of the first things that we ask everybody is, tell me about your vision for your wedding. Tell me about the vibe. Tell me about your venue, because all of those three things are pivotal in determining the look and feel of your wedding. So it's more around focus on that and what sort of experience you want to create for your individual wedding day, because that's what the lasting memory is.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's one of the first questions I ask my couples, because I want to make sure that I'm the right celebrant for them as well. And I ask them, tell me, what do you want this to be like? And I ask them, have you been to many wedding ceremonies? What did you like? What didn't you like? I want to make sure that I fit the style that they're after, because there's no point. Now, celebrants can be chameleons and we can be the person they want us to be, but there is a natural style that we each have, and we want to make sure that we fit that so that our couples get the day that they're after.
Yeah, absolutely. And until you probe them around that vision or the dream wedding, some people have it really like articulated, and then others kind of go, oh, no one's ever actually asked me that. I'm not quite sure. But
Yeah.
we ask a series of questions that brings that out of them.
Yeah. No, it's good. And I like that. Focus on what they're after, not just trying to make it Instagrammable. I think if you nail what you're after, you'll nail it being Instagrammable. So where can brides find you, and what resources do you have for brides?
Sure. So the first thing that I would always point people to is our website. So that is www.bridesmaidsdressingroom.com.au. You'd be surprised how many people spell the word bridesmaids wrong. It's a tricky word to spell. So bridesmaids with an S, and then dressingroom.com.au. And you can also find us on all the socials. So our Facebook page is the same, Bridesmaids Dressing Room, and our Instagram handle is @Bridesmaids Dressing Room. Now, on all of those platforms, be it our website or Facebook or Instagram, you can actually link. There's a free guide that we've got on our website. You'll be able to find it. It looks a little bit like this. So it's basically the ultimate guide, bridesmaids dresses without the stress, a little bit along the lines of what I was talking about before. So they can download that free guide, and it essentially gives you the 7 things that you need to know before you even start bridesmaids shopping. So it's a great tool to download even well before you're ready to start, because it'll give you the sequence of steps that you need to consider. Simple things like buy your wedding dress first before you even come to see us. You'll be surprised how many people will come in to see us for the bridesmaids dresses when they haven't even picked out their dress, but their dress actually sets the theme and the tone for what we would then do for the bridesmaids dresses. So there are sort of a coherent set of steps that we need to work through before they come and see us. So download the guide, and then you'll get a series of emails that will come out to your inbox.
Fantastic. Look, I know I've learned a lot today about just bridesmaids dresses, and now I feel like I can help people now when it comes to that, because normally when brides tell me about dresses, I sort of just go like, I don't know what to say here. I have nothing I feel like I contribute, but now I do. Aneta, thank you so much for joining us. I'll make sure we put your website and Instagram so everyone can find that. Please, everyone, go and download that guide. Make this stress-free and nice and easy for you. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Aneta. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have a fantastic day, evening, wherever you are. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks again. Bye for now.
Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.